The theory I'll be covering here is cultural contracts theory. This theory was developed by Ronald Jackson. It looks at identities and underrepresented and marginalized groups when interacting with the dominant culture. So it's going to be like any immigrant group that comes into the country and being forced to assimilate, or just any, even like with African American people interacting with, white people. This is a theory that implies there. So it basically says that agreements have to be made when these various identities interact regarding just various types of agreements have to be made. Identities include cultural and personal elements. Those all have to be negotiated when the two cultures interact. The Usually it's the culture that would be perceived as the minority would have to shift their worldview when we interact with them. Basically, this means that like whenever like they come into the country, it looks like that it's like they have to kind of adjust their worldview from their norms. So I mean, and plenty of examples obviously of this and of this exist with immigrants coming in from other countries in America throughout history. Um, um, there are different types of identities that identity is negotiated with the prior interactions that these cultures have had. This is where like stereotyping can come into play, where if they have had like a negative identity with one culture, they're going to kind of use that on an assumption. This is going to come in as their base to when they come in and negotiate. There are three different types of contracts that get signed with this. There is a ready to sign, which is when the person just kind of has to give up a lot of their values and stuff, and come into the host culture. I mean, you can also make the argument that this is very close to what assimilation is. Co-creation is when the cultures kind of come together and they both kind of make like a shared like identity. And then there is a quasi completed where there's like some things where it's like where there's some things that basically like, okay, well you have to do this, but like we're okay, but it's like this stuff can be left up to you also. It's like a partially structured agreement. And this is again, I mean, I have personal examples of this with like various friends that I've had who have come from other countries. My second family was Indian, so at a various point, when I was having dinner with them, and I was kind of getting exposed to how they eat food from their country. They said like you can eat it like this, or you can just use a knife and fork, and that's kind of like a co-creator where they're just like you can do either way. And I honestly, just being adventurous, went ahead and tried it like their way. And I have plenty of other examples of like friends of like different religious backgrounds of us doing the same thing, like where we like share each other's culture. So these various relationships have different tracks that can go on. The relationship can be terminated if the contracts are not like fitting out to the people. They can be renegotiated if there's just some things in it that just are unfavorable to one person, or they can do nothing because they either are happy or it's just the amount of damages taking place is often seen as minimal. So that is how the cultural contract theory comes into play.